Alright, I finally found the mojo to make another tutorial, because it came to my attention that a lot of you have Schattenkunstdekorationsbildungsbedarf, which of course stands for a need to be educated in the field of shadow art decorating. I originally didn't want to cover this topic since Vash and Dizzy12 already made tutorials about it in which they explain the mechanics of it to nearly perfection. But DE tweaked tributers and node beacons with the Isleweaver update, so I figured I'd try to press everything you need to know about shadow art decorating into one comprehensive tutorial.
Guter Plan! Lass doch den Deutschen die Scheiße in der Fremdsprache erklären.
Additionally, you can buy additional.
So,
Haha! It's me, overly German Deivos again.
no, that is too early into the video.
Aber
Get the fuck out of my tutorial.
I'm here to erklären to you.
Explain what?
Setze anonyme Architekten have a Discord server efficiently focusing on decorating where we answer questions, provide tips and tricks and share ideas.
And you think I couldn't do that myself? Get out.
Aber
I said out!
Jesus Christ, every time I want to make a tutorial, this dude shows up with his shitty music.
Hi, I am Matt Deivos and I run this YouTube channel together with FaithNo45. Welcome to the next installment of Decorating with Deivos. In Warframe, or how it's called in Germany, Bewusstseinsgesteuerte Leben Metall Mehrfachfunktionskombatanteneinheit, there is a field of decorating that should be a lot more popular than it is. And this is shadow art. Shadow art is using a text code exploit in the game to turn shapes into silhouettes in a color of your choice. To understand how this exploit works, we need to cover the technicalities first. To make this exploit work, we need an item that can display text, which most of you already know as Lumineszenzschriftprojektionsdiskusplattform, or in English, node beacon. I will keep calling them node beacons even when talking about tributers. That's the dojo version of the node beacon. For the rest of the videos, so keep that in mind. Node beacons are available in the market and cost 35 platinum and 25 capacity to place. The dojo equivalent is available for resources and come with a capacity cost of 3. While they have different designs and prices, their behavior and function is identical. So, how do they work? After placing a beacon down, the game will throw you into this menu, which is split into two sections. The top section determines the color of the light cone and the distance between the text and the actual beacon. So you can increase the intensity of the light cone by, you guessed it, increasing or decreasing the intensity bar. This can be used to imitate spotlights or other fancy stuff. If you want to make this light cone invisible, simply set the color to black. In the text section, we can edit the actual text, which we need to create shadow art, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We can scale it up or down, rotate it, and have two color options. The primary color is referring to the upper half of the text and the secondary color to the bottom half of the text. If we rotate the node beacon, the displayed text will rotate with it. Before Isleweaver, the text limit was set to 16 letters. Now it is 32.
Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
And we can also upscale it to 16 times the size instead of the former times 8, which allows us to write gigantic messages, which can get even bigger if you also scale up the actual node beacon. Node beacons are mostly used to display text. What most people don't know is that they can also show text codes. There are gigantic lists of text codes on the internet, but I'm only going to focus on the most useful ones for this video. I will link the lists in the video description so you can look them up yourself. Yeah, correct. I'm not going to hand feed everything to you, you lazy mother. For text codes, it's important to write them out in all caps inside the brackets, otherwise the text code won't register. It's important to note that some text codes are only available on certain platforms, and I haven't found or seen a method to work around it, so keep that in mind. Now to the text codes I deem the most useful. Omega is a plain square. Mod set filled notch is a transparent rectangle, and the line separator is a huge line. As already mentioned, there is a truckload of text codes and some of them are even animated. Thanks to the 16x scaling, node beacons have become a valid option for walls, floors, ceilings, you name it. Note that text codes are invisible from behind, so if you use them to separate a room, you need 2 beacons showing the text code in both directions. If you face problems hiding the node beacon, try to make use of the rotation in the edit menu of the node beacon. For example, if you can't hide it in the wall because of a red zone, rotate the text code and plug the beacon into the ceiling. Speaking of red zones, text codes have no hitbox/collision, which allows you to place them into red zones. If you are smart enough to hide the node beacon in proximity, of course. I used this method ages ago to deal with this annoying red zone in front of the helmet, for example. Alright, so we know what a node beacon is and how text codes work. Now we get to the part most people consider to be the hard to understand part. I will try my best to explain it step by step. This is a Multifunktionslichtbearbeitungskammer, or how the English tongue says, a Shadowart box, consisting out of 2 layers. A blue layer made with the Omega text code acting as the background and a black layer in front of it with a 1 meter gap in between. If we place an item between the layers, we can see that the item is adopting the color of the front layer, turning it into a silhouette. To achieve this effect, we have to understand what the appearance hierarchy is and how it works. To put it simple, it's the order in which the game is displaying transparent objects/surfaces, meaning glass, ephemeras, atmospherics, and text codes. An easy example to show how that affects your game is the Kuva glass in the dojo. It's a transparent object to which the hierarchy applies, but for some reason, the glass in this item has the highest appearance hierarchy of all transparent objects. So it will always override transparent objects/text codes, basically nullifying them. So if we use 2 items of the same hierarchy level, like 2 node beacons, it surely will just work, right? Well, no.
Huh?
In decorating, the item that has been placed the last will get the highest hierarchy in the order. Meaning if I place the front layer after the background, it will obscure the background. But if I do it in reverse, boom! The background now shines through the front layer. Or you just, I don't know, switch the positions of the node beacons if you did it wrong, but like, who would do that anyways, right? So yeah, that's the exploit we are using to create Shadowart. And this works with an infinite amount of layers and you can have as many colors as you want. Just keep in mind that the capacity cost and size of your box will also increase. And people who know how Shadowart works in dojos will now say something like,
Deivos, you forgot to mention the order reverses when you led back into the dojo. Come on, even Shorky can do this.
Yes, I know, but this is only the case for dojos.
Huh?
So please bear with me. In Orbiter, we have to build the front layers first, and in dojos, we have to begin with the background. This is due to dojos loading items in a order, which will make the last item you place the first item below with when you enter dojo. So what happens now 3 node beacons?
Okay,
It's 9 a.m. in good old Deutschland, and I listened back to what I did on the script and all the mumbo jumbo, and I really overcomplicated it. So I think it's best if I just like show you rather than explain it to you. That's why I figured I just like hop into the dojo and just set up a Shadowart screen like you would do it when you do it in a dojo. So we are starting with a black background. This is what we gotta place first. And then we're just gonna copy that one. Just put up a second screen next to it. Just give me a second. Boom, boom, boom. And we want to have a blue front layer for the example. Nice and simple. And if I place this now, how it is. No. I'm so not used to playing on mouse and keyboard. Jesus Christ. So now we can see that the front layer is obscuring the back layer. But if we now just leave the dojo and load back in, the orders will reverse. This is, again, as said, only the case for dojos. Just let me hop back into the dojo. And now we can see that the black layer or the background now has the higher appearance hierarchy because the order in which the items are loaded into the dojo are reversing, making the first item the last item to be loaded, or the first item placed to be the last item to be loaded. So if we place now something in between, with this cool Grenier dude, we now have a Shadowart box. Ta-da! That's what I wanted to show.
Simple rule. In Orbiter, Backroom, Dorm Zone, begin with the front layer. In dojos, begin with the background. Okay, so let's give you some examples of how we can make use of this mechanic in-game.
Alright, so we are in my empty backrooms and I prepared a little bit for this record to speed it up. So what I did first is I placed this node beacon, and you can't see the proportions right now because somehow the game just doesn't show the values I entered. So this is the I entered the length of 1 meter, a scale of 4 on this. Primary color and secondary color is both black, rotated it by 90 degrees. And I used a single Omega text code. So this was the first one, and then I set up a second one, which is primary color blue on the Caviar, this one, and has basically the same other properties as the first one. So this was placed second, so if I rotate it like this, you can see that because I chose the black color on the secondary, I get a little bit of a gradient, it's not much, and I placed it like this to have a little bit of an offset. And we are basically now just going to place a box around it. Let's make this straight, or almost centered, so. I'm probably gonna time lapse that bit so you can see how I build it. And then I just prepared two articulars.
This is the Tenno gun pose 13, using the primary, which is the Rubico in this case. And I have a Grenier Articular, which is the Frontier Heavy Gunner. And from the Grenier reaction pose set, it's the number 3. So I'm just gonna place this Articular right here. And this one right here. As far or as close to the front layer as possible. And then I'm just using some Zariman bushes to give it a little bit of a background. Ta-da! So this is fairly simple. Hold on, let's cover this floor here, floor bit a little bit. I mean, you can now add as many things you want to the box. This is very basic. This is also just a 2-layer shadow art. You can also do something like this, where we have. Hold on, let me pick up something constraint movement so we don't get a red highlight. So you can do something like this with 3 layers. So you have a animated background, basically a Warframe Articular in the front, and then you can, like, you know, decorate the box as well to make that one also look a little bit nicer. Here's how it looks on the back. I used a bunch of these Lux lights because they are moving, so I placed them just barely touching the first screen. So we get this effect on the background. And then the front layer is just, so this one is black. The second one is bright pink. And this one is a little bit more going into the purple direction or magenta. We can also do something like this with the already existing Warframe showcases. This is fairly basic, just a DV pass table here in the front. I used this temporal catograph to hide the node beacon up top here. And then just 2 container lids to close the sides. Let me remove them. And you can see this is the background node beacon. This is the front. Very basic. What also works is you can box in Octavia dancing here in the front the same way. I used a Zariman glow stick to cover this little gap here. And then 2 lockers and a equipment case. And the node beacons are hidden in this locker. If you want to like cover the table or navigation table completely and give yourself a background, this is just one node beacon. And it sits around here. Just angled the same way the screen is angled. And then hit it up here. And then just box the whole thing with lockers, some Solaris cargo crates, and 2 container lids.
Alright, I hope you all got the gist of how shadow art works, at least like roughly. Here are some useful tips that will make your life easier when attempting your first shadow art. First of all, color choice. Like I explained in my last tutorial, some colors in the color palette are affected by bloom. So please be careful when choosing colors.
Oh, this
Joking,
is probably my second room, I think.
Holy
Second
blue!
room. So Shorky, I'd just like to point out, when you walk away from the board, you can't see the cinema. It's just, you can slightly see the dragon
Hold
on
on,
the far
let
left.
me turn off Bloom. This is crazy.
Yeah, you turn off Bloom, man.
No. I'm in here. I'm taking the natural experience. I've gone into the Odeon,
Oh, look,
watching the new Avengers
I
movie
can see
as
something.
intended.
Make use of the grid snapping system when setting up node beacons. It will make it a lot easier to line up the layers correctly. Depending on the display you want to create, it's important to pay attention to the gaps between the layers. You don't want them to be too far apart of each other when doing actual art displays. Otherwise your picture will just fall apart depending on the angle.
but you also don't want them to be too close together, otherwise you will get a shit ton of flickering on your picture. In my opinion, something between 0.1 meters and 0.3 meters sounds about right. Tributars have funny hitboxes. The easiest spot to pick them up is at the bottom. You can also grid snap all of them into one place if you want to have it nice and tidy behind your picture. If you have them all clipped in one spot, but you need to edit them, simply turn the tributars you don't need by 45 degrees to the side. That makes it easier to select the correct tributar. If you want to create a really big canvas, you can enter multiple text codes into one node beacon. You can fit up to 8 Omega text codes into one text field. The small gaps in between the text code can be covered by adding a second node beacon with the same properties. If you happen to play on PC, you can also use line breaks to negate this problem entirely. And remember how I said that text codes are invisible from behind? We can make use of that as well by creating a 3D Shadowart box. I was able to break Faith's brain with this multiple times, but it's not that complicated. I think it gets a lot easier to understand when we look at it from the top. So we are basically just creating 4 Shadowart boxes in 4 different directions, with the background pointing into the 3D box and the second layer pointing away from the box. Since shadow art is very similar to wall art, line art or pixel art, I figured we cover this topic in this tutorial as well.
So Deivos wants help explaining the wonders of line art, does he? Well, I'm actually not feeling it. After all the trolling he gets done every day, you know, I was going to do a separate video on this issue, but maybe there is someone else that can help. So let's actually go see who else is free. Right, so as everyone may have seen on the channel, that's the 15-time champ, the GOAT, but he really doesn't want to do it. Oh, the ghost of Michael Jackson can't help for obvious reasons. Who else is here? Ahoy! Greetings, peasants. I'll take it from here, champ. I am Commander Faith Vi 45th, Decorated Officer of His Majesty's coveted Acquisitions Fleet. And today, I invoke my divine birthright as a proud Briton to bring home even more cherished possessions. The overly German one has come to the right patriot to reverse engineer line art for the Muggles. For generation after generation of dojo contests, His Majesty's HMS Honora has set sail across the star chart to claim build concepts and treasures for our here empire. From the pyramids of the Goths in Phoenix Retribution, to the foggy halls of French degenerates Daggett, Shadowart and the scoundrel American rebel Vash Kaway, and fellow redcoat Dizzy 12, even down to the deep Chilean jungle, we secured IK Garden and his long hidden mechs. Reclamation never stops, and as you hear my superior voice, the GOAT is currently making a 3D shadow art box, gently acquired from the vault of the overly German one. But there is one cachet that infuriates even His Highness. Staring at us across our beloved North Sea, we will be going Dutch, stepping foot inside a clan that subjugated HMS Honora for years in the Xbox Wars. Dojo Prime, your line art is impressive, gallant even, but I'm here now, and I'm bringing a little bit of much needed tradition to your shores. Avast, here is the line art of the Dojo Prime. This, citizens of Dojo Prime have elevated the form to almost heretical levels. The devil-born artist goes by the name of Thea Perfection. His genius is born of the devil, and we must seize his works for the greater good. They even have a Monkey D. Luffy, a pirate who must be brought to justice at all costs. This artwork, by all definition, is witchcraft. and it shall not stand, and believe me, Fia Perfection, if you're hearing this, there will be justice. I think that is enough. The smell of putrid stampot fills my lungs, so we will make a do from this dojo. As we return to our port, our clerics have deciphered the blueprints we have acquired. The first steps to making the line art fit for the king is set up a canvas. This can be Orokin right walls, Orokin pavilion floors, thy choice is yours. As you can see, our starting walls are barren, as void of culture as a Grenadier Tea Party. But worry not, the pillaged blueprints from Dojo Prime will soon fill them. But Commander, how do you draw? Your Eminence calls this the vegan Shadowart. It requires no dojo lagging tribute to decorations. They can be cast into the ocean with all those other stowaways. The trick here is to use unfunded dojo decorations. To get the yellow coloured decorations, which are the unfunded ones, you have to go to your dojo's vault and turn off the auto funding. You may come from a country where reading and writing is optional, but even a street urchin will understand that all you need to do is place your unfunded decorations against your board. Some shapes are better than others. Normally thin and flat pieces work the best. Solaris ventilation louvres, Ostron signs, Omni blubbers are very useful pieces to this method. The aim of line art is to create dark shadows using the unfunded decorations. It is that simple. If you go to the side of a board, you will see that the unfunded decorations appear yellow, but when you look at it from the front, they appear black. And the last thing you need to know is that you need to set your polychrome fog color to shard black, which helps you create the black silhouette from the unfunded items. Lastly, because of the new fund all option, plus the certainty of you savages having hairy and meaty Cupidon paws for hands, do not press this button. You will fund your items and ruin your sure to be mediocre builds, and there is no undo button. And based on Anola's strenuous testing, there are a few things you need to know about the wonders of line art for your dojo. There are rooms called the Earth Forest Chambers. If you place an Orokin pavilion wall right in front of you and use a polychrome accent color, you can create a colorful board instead of a dull and boring white one. And furthermore, you can use square items like a Grenadier Grate and the grid snap settings to create pixel art, which is very beginner friendly. Here is a character. Hold on, what is his name? Gayros Vicarian from something called Mass Effect. The overly German one also has some too, which, for record, I taught him how to make, and because it's on video and I said it first, cannot be refuted.
No, you didn't.
And that is that. Line art has been added to the British museums where they will remain forever. Because I know Shorky is listening, I have done a paint by numbers list of how to make line art as if you are 5 years old. Follow these steps and you too will be an expert in no time, and that is according to Arrow 1324. Good day to you peasants, and don't forget, God save the king.
Thanks, overly British faith. Well, anyways. If you don't want to fiddle around with shadow art mechanics or line art, you can also do wall art, which is basically the same thing, but this time you use funded decorations and make use of the texture and color of the items to create a picture. This build was done by Not Circles in a Backroom, using ferrite decorations and circular displays to draw this lovely cat. Shout out to PyroRock9876, who did a tutorial on how to do wall sculptures in your backroom. If you want to learn more about this, you should definitely check that video out. Faith, somebody told me that decorating is actually not the end game. The end game is actually fashion frame.
What? You're lying. I've never seen anyone fashion their frame for fun.
You think we should make a tutorial about it since it's end game?
I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
All right, let's. I mean, yeah, I get something. Yeah. Oh, what is this? Randomized art. Yes. Thank you for watching. I really hope you guys find this tutorial helpful and inspiring. We would appreciate your support by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving a like on this video. I will also put our LinkTree into the video description in case you guys want to, you know, support us on our other social media platforms. So yeah, I guess goodbye and I see you in the next tutorial.